Hello there, what's going on everyone? Today I'm going to be talking about the Armada Squadrons 1 packs that are coming back in stock, and I'm going to be doing a build to kind of focus on that. If you are a new player and are finally about to get your hands on an Armada Rebel Fighter 1 Squadron pack, I figured I'd do a build to kind of showcase that. So let's go ahead and get started. It was posted a couple of days ago that they were suddenly back in stock on FFG's website. I don't know if that was an error because they're certainly not back in stock right now, but they are still showing us on the boat. So are the Imperial Fighter 1 packs, and these have been out of stock for a very, very, very long time. So there are a lot of people who've gotten into the game of Armada that have not had the chance to get their hands on a Fighter 1 pack for either faction yet. And that's basically the faction's Squadron pack that has the core fighters in it. So for the Rebels, that's A-Wings, B-Wings, Y-Wings, and X-Wings. Now, you already have some X-Wings in your core set, but I figured we would go ahead and do a build. I'm going to do Squadrons first in this regard. So looking at everything that's available, and I am using Ryan Kingston's Fleet Builder. This is a great website, works on mobile and on desktop alike. I'll put a link to this in the description below because I do get asked a lot what I like to use. You probably have Luke Skywalker in your core box already, so I'll put Luke out there because he's just overall he's good to have. But let's look at what else are we getting, right? Now, if you've got the Corellian conflict, you'll probably have some of these alternate Y-Wings and B-Wings that are available in that. I'm not going to use any of those in this build. However, they are available, and you can feel free to swap them out if you like. I think there's nothing wrong with that. But I'm going to try to make use of most of what comes in the Squadron pack. So we're going to go ahead. Let's start off with Y-Wings. I'll use two generic Y-Wings right now because I think I'm going to make this into a bomber build, and there's certainly other options. You have you have more than just now. You do get two Y-Wings, two B-Wings, two A-Wings, and two X-Wings in the Squadron pack. I don't think the extra X-Wings are really that necessary considering you've already got a couple in the core starter box. But in case you wanted to run a lot of X-Wings, and that is good because they are a pretty well-rounded fighter, you could certainly do something like that. You're getting Dutch also, but I'm not going to run Dutch in this particular build. I'm just going to run two basic Y-Wings. Same thing goes with B-Wings. I'm going to run two basic B-Wings. I'm going to run those, and so we're going to have two Y-Wings and two B-Wings right now. And that's actually a pretty good start because that gives us four bombers that are, have a decent amount of hit points on them and are rolling black dice. I mean, the B-Wing's definitely the best because it's rolling a blue and a black. But we're going to have a lot of bombers. Our X-Wings are bombers as well. The cool thing about Luke is that Luke is going to be able to roll a black die instead of a red die. We'll add a couple of regular X-Wings as well. Let's make it four X-Wings altogether. So we're going to roll three basic X-Wings and Luke Skywalker. So we're going to protect our bombers with our X-Wings with their escort keyword. Now our regular X-Wings are rolling red dice. Those red dice do have a pretty good chance to miss and not roll any damage. So we'll make sure we help all of these bombers out, but with a bomber command center in the list. But this is a pretty good bomber threshold right now. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 bombers, and 8 is pretty good. But let's go ahead and also we have some Y-Wings also, right? A-Wings. Let's add some A-Wings to this list, and we'll add our generic A-Wing, and we'll also add Tycho Selchu, who is like one of the best pilots in the game. If you have the Corellian conflict, you may want to add Shara Bay. Also, if you're now just getting your first A-Wing, you can put her in, but I'll just put Tycho in there. And this does bring me up to 134, which is the max amount of points you can have in a 400-point list. 134 is the cap. And so we're completely capped on squadrons now, but this is 10 squadrons total, so it's a very strong squadron presence. We've got a little bit of a lot of stuff. We have, we've got these fast, speedy A-Wings that can get into a lot of places, can tie up enemies' squadron balls. We've got X-Wings that are tough and can shoot back. X-Wings are really good anti-fighter. The A-Wings are good anti-fighter. The Y-Wings and the B-Wings are good anti-ship. And to be honest, the X-Wings are good anti-ship too, especially Luke, who can ignore shields completely when he's attacking. So, he can really go in there and cause a lot of problems. So that is kind of what we're looking at so far. So let's go ahead and start adding ships to this build because we need to put, a complete list together. I did say I wanted a bomber command center. So I'll start off with a GR-75 medium transports flotilla. These are going to be a really good support option, and we are going to give them a bomber command center. That's going to give all of our bombers rerolls when they're attacking a ship. That'll be great for all of these bombers. That's not going to help the A-wings, however, and that's something to keep in mind. I'm okay with that, but yeah, that is one thing to definitely keep in mind. We are going to also add Adar Talon to this list. Adar Talon is so unbelievably good. Absolutely love Adar Talon, and basically he's just letting you activate a squadron twice. Really, really good when used with Luke Skywalker. Really, really good when used with a B-wing. Either of those cases are going to be really great, but you can have a lot of flexibility. You can use him wherever he needs to be used. I absolutely think he's phenomenal. One weakness this build is going to have, though, is that we're not going to have intel. So another enemy TIE fighter can fly in and screw everything up. So we'll need to be very careful when we run a list like this on, making sure that we're not getting tied up. We'll probably need to try to concentrate on taking out enemy squadrons first and then going after their ships, or splitting up if we can do that as well. So, and granted, if you want to change this build and add an intel, like drop a B-wing and put, something with intel on there or whatever, that's your prerogative. You can totally do that. I just wanted this build to focus a little bit more on the squadron packs, and that's kind of what I'm doing here. It's kind of how the squadrons look before we had intel. This is one way you might have seen squadrons before we had intel. Granted, we also, I'm using ships and upgrades that came out after the fact, so it's not exactly the perfect replica. But I do love Adar Talon. One of the things I'll do here is I'll add a boosted comms to this particular flotilla. And this is going to help us activate at long range instead of at medium range. And that's going to be really, really helpful when paired with Adar Talon. It allows me to keep this flotilla in a relatively safe spot. I still want to be at range 5, which is the same as long range. I want to be at that really kind of at as far away as I can be and stay safe, while still helping my squadrons with Bomber Command Center, and that means my boosted comms range can be the same. So it makes it a little bit easier when planning movement. I don't have to stay, worry about range 3 and then range 5. Everything is going to be max range for this particular flotilla, keeping him pretty safe. That one is really nice. I'm going to add a second flotilla. Now, we do have a hard cap of 2 flotillas in our fleet now with the current rules. And this one is going to be a little bit more bare bones. And I'm using this one just for squadron activations, because I do have 10 squadrons. I'm going to need a lot of ships to activate those squadrons. Now, this one is going to have Torin Far on it. Now, Torin Far, this one is going to have to stay a little closer, and that's why I'm not putting as many upgrades on this one. This one is going to have to get a little bit closer. This one's going to deploy farther forward ahead. This one's going to be probably at a faster speed than my top one. This one's going to be in more danger, and so it's a much higher risk of being destroyed, and that's why I don't mind having this one with fewer upgrades, because if it's destroyed, it's very, very few points for my opponent. But Torin Far will allow us to do a lot of good and will definitely help taking care of enemy squadrons. Torin Far gives everybody with distance 1 to 3 a reroll for a blue die, and that is for ships and squadrons, which is really, really nice. And if you actually wanted to get really fancy with it, you could upgrade this top GR-75 to a combat version, combat retrofit, and have it use a blue die for attack. But I don't have the points for that, so I'm not doing that. But that's something that you could consider doing. But yeah, so Torin Far on this GR-75 is also going to affect the counterattack from the A-Wings too. So if you can take somebody like Tycho and tie up their an enemy Reimer ball or enemy squadron formation, they can get that counterattack and be able to reroll blue dice on both their initial attack, their counterattacks, your ship's attacks. Your B-Wing now can reroll its blue and its black with Bomber Command Center and Torin Far. You can do a lot of really cool things that way. So Torin Far is going to work really, really well with this. And that's just going to be really, really nice, because every squadron you've got has blue dice. So I'm a big fan of that. All right, so what else are we going to add? Well, how about our flagship? Now, this one's going to sound a little strange, and you can probably change it out a little bit, but I'm going to run an MC-30 as my flagship. Now, the MC-30s, generally, especially a torpedo frigate, wants to get in close. So you can potentially put, I'm going to run Dodonna as my commander, but you can put Dodonna somewhere else if you wanted to. He can't go on a flotilla, but I figure every ship I'm running here is going to have to be kind of close to the action. And so this one at least is going to be most survivable as out of all the ones that are getting close to the action, and this one is less integral to the entire plot of the fleet. And I know that sounds funny because I'm going to put a Yavaris in here also. But yeah, so all right, so it's going to be an MC30. The MC30 has a lot of shields. They're super survivable at long range, but I'm going to add the admonition title, which allows it to also get rid of a die for every time they're attacked. So it gives it a lot of survivability, and we're also going to give it some teeth, so it's going to do a lot of damage before it dies. We're going to give this thing the standard ordnance experts for re-rolling black dice, and I'm going to give it assault proton torpedoes, which gives it a face-up damage when it gets a crit, which is going to combo perfectly well with Dodonna. So just give somebody that pick that crit that they get something that's going to really debilitate their ship. And then maybe I can get out of there while I'm still alive and then circle back around out of the front arc, trying to dodge the deadly firepower rather than just simply tank it. That's kind of what I'm hoping for with Dodonna, but since I am a close-range ship, I expect my squadrons to be doing damage first, and Luke will probably trigger some Dodonna crits before Dodonna's MC30 is even in range. I think we have a chance of losing our flagship, but I'm going to be offering my opponents so many attractive targets, such as these flotillas that are activating squadrons, and things like Yavaris, which are coming up next, that I think they'll have a hard time deciding if they want to really go after an MC30, like this admonition here. It could be tough. So let's add Yavaris. That's going to be a Nebulon B escort frigate with the higher squadron value and actually better anti-squadron die. And this is a good one, especially with Torin Far, because if they do a flak attack, if they do an anti-squadron attack, they're going to be rolling 2 blue dice, and they're probably going to really take advantage of those rerolls. So that is good. Again, a lot of anti-squadron capability in this list, which I think is nice. Not an overload of anti-squadron, and you don't want to overload on any one area. I think this is a fairly well-rounded list. The only thing that it could really, really benefit would be some intel, but we're not rocking intel right now. So with this Nebulon B, we're going to run the title Yavaris, and what that does is allows each squadron you activate can attack twice if it does not move during your activation. Now, the important thing is you used to be able to run fighter coordination team. So this was basically after you move, you can also move some squadrons. And then the key was to also run that with flight commanders, which would let you do your squadron activation last. So basically, you could kind of get around the limitation by moving squadrons and then having them attack twice. But they've changed the wording on that with Yavaris, so you can basically not do that combo anymore. Although I could move other squadrons and then activate different squadrons, but I'm just going with Flight Commander and Yavaris because Yavaris will be one of the most attractive targets on the map, and I would like to keep him far away from enemy firepower. And the problem with doing that is you keep them out of squadron range. We don't have offensive retrofit on a Nebulon B, so we can't give him long range comms. So the next best thing is Flight Commander. I could be a little far away from my squadrons and then just hold off on my squadron command until after I move, and then activate. And then I can potentially move into range. And it just keeps me a little bit safer. So I definitely prefer to run Yavaris with that type of setup. And I have a little bit of points left, and we'll add a Hammerhead Torpedo Corvette. I don't have the points available to add anything else to it, and I recognize that is kind of a wasted opportunity, but I've already used both of my flotillas, and I don't have any more points I can add for squadrons. So it really boils down to, do I want a whole extra ship and activation and deployment, or do I want to just spend those points on extra upgrades for other ships? And I think this is the happy medium, because a Hammerhead Torpedo Corvette can roll black dice, is pretty likely to get those crits, can combo well with Dodonna, and is also squishy enough that it's going to present itself as an attractive target for my opponents. So one of the things that I like about this particular list is that I've got a whopping 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 ships. I'm less likely to be tabled. Also, I could take this little throwaway Hammerhead Corvette and just fly it around the board if I need to ensure that I keep myself from getting tabled while my squadrons mop up the mess, in case my opponent does manage to destroy my MC30 and Yavaris. I don't want those 2 flotillas to be alive, but I still get tabled. So I can also use this Hammerhead almost as kind of a cheaper lifeboat option, and of flying it away from the battle if I end up within an unfavorable matchup. So that's something to keep in mind. Now, I do have to look at objectives, so we're going to go ahead and go down to the objectives area. What objectives do I want to bring with this? With 400 points, I'm probably going to be second player. So it's very important to think about objectives right here. So one of the things we can do is for For our red objectives, Most Wanted is probably going to be a nice option here. It's going to give all my ships an extra die when they're attacking the enemy ship. It's also going to give me a whole lot of points if I can destroy a single ship, and I think that's definitely the option. Most people don't ever pick Most Wanted, because if I could just pick one, let's say an Imperial Star Destroyer, I'm going to get over 200 points just for that one ship, which very well may be the game. Because then I can just fly, I can just focus on one ship, don't have to worry about anything else, and then I can assign my little GR75 with Torian Farr as my Most Wanted ship, and I don't care if they get an extra 18 points from that. So that's pretty effective. For our defense, our yellow, we're going to go ahead and choose not Fleet Ambush, but Fighter Ambush. I get those two ambushes confused sometimes. But yes, but this one's before deploying fleets. I get to set aside all of my squadrons. After deploying fleets, I can deploy all of my squadrons. They can be placed as normal or at distance 1 of an obstacle, so I can deploy my squadrons farther ahead. And this one is just so nasty, because I can, if we end up in a squadron versus squadron matchup, this one could potentially make me miss out on some of my my deployment advantage. But it gives me the chance to put my squadrons closer to their ships. It gives me, and with as many as I have, I'm probably going to be favorable. But it also gives me the opportunity to, try to get behind them. And the special rule here is really nice. After a squadron performs an attack against a ship, if they were dealt at least 1 damage card, you gain a victory token. And I've got so many squadrons that are going to be able to do this. Even if I end up not deploying my squadrons kind of close to them, even if I just deploy them kind of as usual and closer to my side, I can really get a lot of victory points for this. Also, with as many squadrons as I have, I can prevent myself from having to bump my squadrons, and I can just kind of deploy them halfway ahead, especially with things like the B-Wing that are very, very slow. It gives me a great opportunity to get them into the fight ahead of time without having to worry about their speed as a problem. And last up, we're going to go with superior positions for our blue. One of the reasons that I really like this one with a lot of squadrons is because of its special rule is that after a ship or squadron performs an attack against the rear hull zone of another ship, if the defender suffered at least 1 damage, the attacker owner gains a victory token. So very similar to Fighter Ambush with that special rule. Basically, your squadrons are going to use these squadrons to attack and give you victory points, and you're just going to get so many. So even if somebody has a tanky ship and they're able to survive, even if you're going up against a super Star Destroyer, you are definitely going to get a lot of points as a result of this. So that's really nice, even if you don't kill them. And that is the build, guys. I want to thank you all so much for watching this, and yeah, if you like this video, go ahead and give it a thumbs up. Let me know what you think down in the comments below. And I want to give a big thanks to my patrons on Patreon and all of that good stuff. I want to thank you all so much for watching. And as always, have a great day.